The Cinderella story is a folktale that can be traced back to the French story Cinderella, first published in the 1600s, though Chinese and Greek versions of this classic tale date back to the 9th century and 6th century, respectively. Although countless versions of this tale have been told throughout history, they all follow the same general plot. A girl is forced, through unfortunate circumstance, to live with her stepmother and stepsisters, who abuse her until a prince comes to town searching for his queen-to-be. He chooses Cinderella, making her a princess, and she's saved from her abusive household. This story has even been preserved in the modern era by the Disney iteration everyone knows today, and it's through this phenomenon comes the movie Cinderella Man, a movie which has absolutely nothing to do with Cinderella, rendering this entire opening paragraph fucking useless. You had one fucking job, title! Think of all the droves of boxing movies that have ever come out. What do most of them have in common? Interesting plot lines, engaging stories, believable characters, and realistic boxing scenes? These movies have fucking none of these. What are you, stupid? What are you, fucking gay? And while I admit I haven't seen every movie about boxing known to man, I'm sure there are a handful out there that stick out from the rest in an exceptional manner. This brings me to Cinderella Man, a movie I first saw in middle school history class. James J. Braddock had it all as a boxer until the Great Depression hits and he loses his boxing license due to his broken hand. Injured and left without a job to feed his family, Braddock struggles to keep his family alive by finding manual labor on the docks, which isn't always available. After years of hardship, this all turns around when his longtime manager gets him a one-time fight as a replacement against a top contender on 1 day notice. I'm intentionally being vague here, since I think you should check this movie out if you haven't already. It doesn't seem to be available on the big streaming platforms, but piracy is always an option. I don't know about you guys, but every other boxing movie I've ever watched had me knocked the fuck out whenever plot not about boxing is involved. And while you might be thinking I'm an ADHD bitch after hearing me say that, let's be real here. Most of those movies are just building up to the fights. You're just only watching it for the fight. And while those movies do an excellent job of creating the feeling of hype and motivation up my scrotum, the rest of those movies are usually boring as hell. Cinderella Man was able to keep me interested throughout the duration by making me care about the plot. Now let me back up here. This takes place during the Great Depression, so while a large portion of the runtime is spent while Braddock can't box, we see his struggles to keep his family alive during this, and it's a matter of life or death. We're not watching Braddock work hard because he has some generic dream of becoming a champion boxer, or proving his doubters wrong, or living up to his name. He is literally doing anything he can to make some money to try to survive. You can feel some kind of connection to this no matter who you are, because you wouldn't have any other choice if you were in this situation. This kept me wanting to see what happens next. And unlike your Rockies and your Creeds, this elicited a greater feeling of empathy from me towards the characters. We as humans want to feel something, and we equate emotional impact with quality so much. The most successful pieces of media tend to be the ones that gave us a touching experience. Because we all know touching people is the quickest way to success, and also the fastest way to lose it. So let's take a second to talk about the boxing scenes. Even though boxing isn't the main focus for a large portion of the movie, it is the driver of the plot. The way I would describe the boxing is for the most part realistic. Since these are matches that actually happen in real life, it was refreshing to see how historically accurate they kept them. They didn't just over-exaggerate the fights with over-the-top knockouts that didn't happen out of fear of boring the normie autistic viewers. We actually see them jab, slip, move around, and clinch in these scenes, all things real boxers do, instead of seeing ridiculous Ivan Drago haymakers from cartoony, angry-faced fighters for flashy effect. I mentioned I first watched this movie in my history class. Well, I remember during one of the boxing scenes, they clinched, and a girl in my class actually said out loud, "Why do boxers hug?" And it was at this moment I actually realized this movie was doing boxing movies justice. Paul Giamatti even gives actual boxing advice in the corner instead of some motivational mumbo-jumbo to get the audience hype. But that's not to say these fight scenes are boring. The cinematography is constantly being varied from being up close and personal to bring the viewer into the fighter's perspective to quick camera pans around the ring to the audience. There's many techniques the director pulls to keep the fights interesting to watch. Even shaky cam is used to good effect. I absolutely abhor shaky cam, but not once did it bother me in this movie because of how few times it was used, and it was mostly used to hide parts of the fight that look fake without it. They also did make Max Baer a little too cartoony, like a cartoony villain, but that really was the only gripe I had with this. So if you watch my channel, there's probably a good chance you like boxing. If you like boxing movies and haven't seen this already, then check it out. If you're like me and like boxing but hate boxing movies, maybe give it a shot. That's all I have to say. I know this is not usually the type of video I do, the topic isn't relevant, this will get virtually no views and was probably by all means a waste of my time for me to make. But did you know, if you like, comment, and subscribe, it will actually cause me to come in my pants? Anyways, I'll see you guys all next time. Thank you all for watching.